recorded in progress. I think you heard that. So the session is being recorded because later we post this video on YouTube because we want to benefit more teachers. We want everybody to learn a little bit about the topic discussed here. Also remember to keep your microphones muted as much as possible. This is just to avoid, feedback sounds over there. We will obviously have space for questions later, so please write them down. And I will be sending those questions to the speaker today. At the end of the session, do not forget to complete the attendance form. And this is because we use that attendance form to collect data so that we plan better sessions in the future. And also we see your name written down over there, and we use that information in the issuing of e-certificates. This time, I will be telling you more about e-certificates at the end of the session. There are two different certificates that will be issued. Number one is if you have attended all 4 sessions of the module, then you will be awarded a completion e-certificate. Don't worry if you just attended 1, 2, or 3, you will also get your certificate. That will be a participation certificate, and we want to mention the number of sessions that you attended. So that's what we have for today. Now it is my great pleasure to read our speaker's bio today. Our speaker today is Anabel Rodriguez. She is an international educator and leader who has dedicated her career to 3 areas: English language teaching, curriculum leadership, and project management. She has worked at various levels of the educational system for over 20 years. Anabel has provided guidance to schools and universities in Latin America, helping them enhance their English language teaching methodologies, classroom management, use of technology, and inclusivity. Anabel is the former president of ABEU, so I know you recognize her, and she has been a great friend of the Teachers Up Initiative since the very beginning when we got this little baby started 2 years ago. So thank you so much, Anabel. I will stop sharing screen now, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ovidio, for that introduction, and thank you everybody for being here. It is truly a pleasure to be with Teachers Up again. I know that you have been working with different components, and today is my turn to talk to you a little bit about CLIL and how this works in our language classes. So let me share my screen. Okay, oops. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah,
Yes,
sir.
Yes.
perfect. So this is if you want to like take a screenshot and follow me on social media. So those are that's my social media, and here's a little bit about my academic background. So this is the agenda for today, and we have a lot of things to do today. So we're gonna start right now. And first, we're gonna work on the definition of CLIL. We're gonna also discuss about the methodology. And today, what I have done for this session is that I have integrated CLIL with task-based learning. And I think that many of you are familiar with task-based learning. So I think that this is gonna be something that is gonna be very helpful for applying this into your classrooms. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about resources and how to evaluate the resources that you're using in your classroom when you are integrating CLIL. And then we're gonna have a breakout room session to discuss how you can implement CLIL in your classes. So first, I have a question here, and this is CLIL. What do you think it is the definition for CLIL? And I'm going to give you a link in the chat. Let me go get it for you. Okay. Here is the link. And it is to a Jamboard. So here you have post-its, and you can write your definition and leave the post-it here. Okay. Wow, we already have 25 people there. Very good. Okay, content and language integrated learning. Very good. To leave the messages, use the post-it here, the sticky note. Some of you are already exploring with the colors. That's awesome. You're personalizing them. Okay, content and language integrated learning. Who can share a little bit more? Like, what does it? Okay, we have another one here. Teach English with contents like science or social studies. Very good. Okay, so if you are not able to comment on the Jamboard, you can also use the chat, and we are gonna read you your comment here. Okay, we have here that this approach is used to teach students about a new subject in a language foreign to them. Okay, good. Integrated skills in context, learn a different subject using English like history, marketing, a teaching method that involves teaching students about a subject in a foreign language. So I see that many of you did your homework, and before coming to the workshop, you read a little bit about CLIL, and yes, this is when you are integrating content and language. And here we have some comments also in the chat. It says it is when you teach some subjects in English, but they are in Spanish. Content learning integrated language, and we have when students learn both a new language and a new topic as well. Yes. Where a subject is taught in the target language rather than the first language of the learners. Perfect. Very good. So this is, and here we are still getting, and something that I like is that you're also sharing the types of subjects that are used in CLIL, like history. Some of you mentioned marketing, social studies, and that's very nice that you're already giving me some more information so I can share later with the examples. Okay. So here, many of you wrote that it is content communication and integrated language, and here we have the 4 C's. So according to the 4 C's curriculum, a successful CLIL lesson should combine elements of the following. So first, it is content, progression in knowledge, skills, and understanding related to specific elements of a defined curriculum. Communication, using language to learn while learning to use the language. Cognition, developing thinking skills which link concept formation. And we have the culture, to exposure to alternative perspectives and shared understandings which deepen awareness of otherness and self. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that you have content. It means that the purpose is also learning the language, but it is not just the mere knowledge. You have to integrate it with skills, and the idea is that the students are going to have to use it in contents that that are communicative. And for example, when we, something that happens when we are teaching science, for example, I used to teach science for a bilingual school. They gave me the content and it was just vocabulary, it was readings, and students were just memorizing the information, but they were not seeing the purpose of it. And that is something that happens. And maybe students can get bored, students can get demotivated because of that. So when you give them a reason why they are learning what they are learning, and when this reason integrates collaboration, communication, and students are thinking, they are developing their thinking skills. It is not just, okay, this is the vocabulary that you're going to memorize because it is on the test, or these are the capitals, so memorize them because they are on the test, or these are the rivers of the world, so memorize this information. And then students don't see a purpose of that, and that's what we have to change in our classes. There should be a purpose, and the purpose should be a communicative purpose, and it will be something that they can use in a real life, and that will improve students' motivation and engagement in the lesson. So here we have the methodology, and I'm gonna be, as I said before, we're working with task-based learning and CLIL, and this is the cycle. So we have the students here, and they are in a social studies class, and we have the pre-task will be how the teacher introduces the topic, introduces the task. Then we have the task cycle, and in this task cycle, students carry out the task and they plan how to report it. And then the report is when the students report back to the class. And at the end, we have a language focus. So in this one, you, as a teacher, work with the students with an analysis and practice of the structures that were involved in the reading, in the video, in the activity that the students were working on. So this is an example, and this is, I know that some of you love to take a screenshot, so you can take all the screenshots so you can have all these texts. I'm not gonna be reading everything, but what I want to do is kind of take you with me in this journey of exploring a task-based learning CLIL. So the first part will be the topic and task introduction. And what do? I introduce the topic, but it doesn't mean that the teacher is going to be speaking and speaking and speaking and blah, 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 blah. What is going to happen is that we can show our students a video. We can ask students to bring information about the topic. We can give them a reading that is related to the different, in this case, the topic is landforms and bodies of water. So students can work with this content, either material that we bring to the class, content that we bring to the class, or you can ask them to research. And then when they come to the class, we can explore the information, and that will help to create some background knowledge about this topic. Then we go with the task cycle. And in this case, because I know some of you are in the tourism English classes, so I am trying to connect with that content, and I am using tourism and landforms and bodies of water in El Salvador. So I have this topic in this science book that I am teaching my students, but how can I make it more significant to them? So I am connecting it with something that they might know in El Salvador. So you divide the class in groups, you ask the students to prepare any way they want, how to present different landforms and bodies of water in El Salvador. And then students, well, while they are working, they are collaborating, they are discussing, they are selecting what bodies of water they know, what landforms they know, which ones they like better. And then when they are working in the task, recognizing the ones in El Salvador, similar to the ones in the video or in the reading, then students have enough information and they have worked with the content to be able to plan their presentation, and they can work on a poster, they can make a PowerPoint slide, they can have a short skit that they are traveling in El Salvador, or they have they are tour guides and they are explaining about the different places and trying to offer their services to some tourists. And here we have also like a project, and they can also make the different landforms or the body of water, and they can explain it to their classmates. And that will be the section number 4, to allocate time for each group to present their findings and encourage students to use the appropriate vocabulary, the language structures related to landforms and bodies of water. In this case, for example, something that I do, because generally what we teachers do is that we have all the students in groups, and then we go group by group, and they go to the front, and then it takes a lot of time, and sometimes not everybody has the opportunity to speak. Something that I do is that I generally have groups of 4. And when I have the groups of 4, I have 2 people that stay in a group, and they are the presenters, and I have 2 groups that they are the visitors. So the visitors start walking, and they go to a different group, and they start listening to the presenters talk about the landforms, talking about the bodies of water. And then depending on the number of groups that I have, if I have 6 groups, so they present 3 times and then they switch. So now the presenters become the visitors, and the visitors become the presenters, and we continue with the same track that we had. So everybody has the opportunity to listen, and everybody has the opportunity to talk and present. So that's one of my strategies, and it has worked very well, because generally the students, they pick only one person to go to the front, and they are like, no, Ovidio can go and and present. And then in this way, everybody has to present and everybody has to prepare, and there is more collaboration, because then the students, they know everybody has to say something. And sometimes we have some students that they are leaders, and they usually take over the task, and they want to do most of the things. And in this case, because they know that the others also are going to defend the project, they tend to be more likely to mentor and tutor the other members of the group that might not be very strong, for example, at speaking in public. So it is a very good strategy to support the students. And then here we have the language focus, and in this one we have the analysis, and in the analysis we have the after presentations. So once we have already finished the presentations, the students can identify relevant vocabulary, sentence structures, and grammar patterns related to landforms and bodies of water. In this case, I have chosen the order of adjectives, because when you are listening or when you are talking about bodies of water or the lands, you usually describe their features. So when, like, for example, if you're talking about Lempa River, so what can you say about Lempa? Let's see the chats. What are some adjectives that you can use when you're referring to the Rio Lempa? Long. Okay, very good. Yes. Cold. I didn't know it was cold. Wide, big. Okay. Narrow. Okay. So we have different adjectives, and then the students can you can work. Oh, you have wonderful, and wonderful is an opinion. So you have these different adjectives, and you can help your students locate where in the sentence it should go. Oh, yeah. Someone mentioned here polluted, and unfortunately, yes, that is something we have to fight against. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. So, and then you can have some practice. You can bring more um, landmarks or landforms, and you can ask the students to talk about geographical features of different countries, and they can compare them with Salvadorian uh, landforms and bodies of water. Or you can ask the students to think about different countries, like, for example, Canada, United States, Costa Rica, and they can use this grammar and this vocabulary that they have already worked on. They can use it to describe these geographical features of landforms and bodies of water in different countries. So this will be kind of um, what you're doing when you're working with CLIL. You have this content, but you should be encouraging communication. So students are going to be discussing about, in this case, they are going to be talking about the landforms and bodies of water, but they are also finding a purpose of why they are using this information. And it it doesn't mean that you're not going to be using the grammar, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to be referring to the vocabulary or referring to the grammar structures. But what it means is that the focus is not only that. You are focusing on the communication. You're focusing on a purpose. And in this sample lesson that I have presented, the purpose is that the students are going to be able to describe these landforms and bodies of water from El Salvador. And they can promote tourism in El Salvador, describing them. So then you are giving them also some opportunity to show their pride about their country. And when they are doing this, they are also using their higher thinking level, because the students are not only memorizing, and then you're showing a flashcard and they say hill, a hill is da 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 da, and then show them another flashcard and another flashcard, because then that will be just lower thinking level. They are just identifying information and recognizing the vocabulary. But what we want them to do is to be able to use the language in a communicative task. So when you are having a communicative task in your CLIL classroom, then the students will be more engaged, and they will be more likely to remember the vocabulary and to put it in a different context. Because generally, and we all know, students learn something today, and then the next day you ask them like, okay, what did we study yesterday? And they are like, yesterday. And they start, and the worst part is that they don't take notes. So they go to their notebooks and they have nothing on their notebooks. So when you do this type of tasks, they are more meaningful. And because it is hands-on, so students are working, they are making a presentation, they are talking to other students, and they are relating this science content or this social studies or geography content to something that they understand, then this it is more likely that it is gonna go from short-term memory to long-term memory. But if we just do memorization of words and content and just grammar exercises, then it is going to be very difficult for the students to remember that, because those activities tend to be not engaging. Okay. So let me go to the next slide. And here, I want to talk a little bit about the resources. When we talk about the resources, sometimes it is very hard when we are working with CLIL, because we go and look for articles, we go and look for videos, and sometimes the content is maybe for adults, or it has vocabulary that is more complex, and our students, they are not at that level. And it tends to be hard to find resources. So there are different things that we need to identify when you are looking for CLIL content. So first, you have to see, you have to check the age. So is it age appropriate? Is the information related to things that students understand and that they can connect? Second, English level. If you bring, for example, I can find a Harvard research paper on land forms and bodies of water, but I know my students are not going to understand it. So and maybe I can understand it, but my students won't. So make sure that the resources that you're looking for, they are at the level of your students. Engaging. Sometimes when we are bringing some content, we can have the same video about bodies of water, and it can be a video that has just text, or video that has pictures. We can have videos that are presented by someone who's boring, and we can have videos that are presented by someone who is very interesting, or maybe sometimes even famous people. They record videos for different organizations, or they have some audio or podcasts that they talk about different issues related, for example, to global warming, or other content that you might be able to use in your classes. But something that I want to show, and I don't know how many of you have used artificial intelligence already. Okay, Irving, yay. Okay, who else has already? Not yet. Okay, me too. Vincao, good. So I'm kind of getting addicted to use artificial intelligence. You have no idea how much time I save on emails. Oops, it's being recorded. But yeah, so um okay, neither do I, not yet. So artificial intelligence is here, and we as teachers, we should be able to use it. For example, if you're teaching writing, ask ChatGPT if your students, if ChatGPT wrote that that paragraph that you're having. Okay, sometimes not yet. Me, I have already used it. Okay, very good. So let me stop sharing here, and let me go to ChatGPT. Okay, so this is ChatGPT. If you didn't know ChatGPT, so ChatGPT, teachers have teachers, teachers have teachers, ChatGPT. And you can bring, for example, here what I did is that I went to a research, I copied this paragraph, and I wrote here, rewrite for a third grader. And then I have this, a version for a third grader. So you can find information, and if you want certain vocabulary to be included, you can be specific and you can add it here. You can, if you want it for a certain level of English, you can write it. So as specific as much specific as you are, the better. So for example, something that I did with my students, and they are university students, but they wrote paragraphs, and they wrote it and they wrote it in ChatGPT, and I asked them to write, please evaluate my paragraph according to the Common European Framework. And ChatGPT gave them some information about how to improve their paragraphs. So you can ask, for example, in this example, I am rewriting a section of an article that I liked, that included the vocabulary that I wanted and information that I wanted, and I asked the ChatGPT to rewrite it. I can also ask, I need Okay. So I wrote, I need a paragraph for my geography class on bodies of water for 3rd grade. And here is the paragraph. I can mention what bodies of water I wanna use, and ChatGPT is going to provide me that information. I can also ask. Where can I find information about bodies of water for a 3rd grade geography class? And here it's giving me some websites, some books, children's books, some educational videos, and some local resources. Well, this one is to find some local resources. So, but as you can see, it can give you also links and other resources. Here we have the National Geographic Kids, and other resources where you can find that information. So now the information is really at the tip of your fingers, and your students know this. And let me give you the trick. So this one is the one that ChatGPT wrote. If I ask ChatGPT, if ChatGPT wrote the paragraph, it says, yes, I wrote the paragraph for you. So like some people were worried about plagiarism. So no, ChatGPT doesn't lie for the students. So if they used a paragraph written by ChatGPT, you're gonna know. Okay, so let me go back to the presentation. But before continuing, I would like to know your comments. What do you think about the framework? What do you think about using artificial intelligence to get resources? If you want, you can open your mic, or you can write in the chat.
I would like to take this moment to
Okay.
announce, that we are having 2 sessions on artificial intelligence. So we will expand this topic in module 2 of the webinar series. So you don't want to miss that. And there are some questions over there in the chat that I will transmit. I will pass them to the speaker in just a few minutes. All right.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so now this is just the candy. So you know some things that ChatGPT can do, but you're going to be able to explore this in a deeper way with the next speakers. Yeah, Guillermo Peña says here that ChatGPT is really helpful. It is. It has a lot of information and it's very fast. Yes. Yeah, here some people to send. Can you ask ChatGPT to design a lesson? Yeah, you can. Yeah, actually, I have used it like for ideas on activities, and it's been very helpful. Someone here was asking like, where do I go to find the info I want? And someone says ChatGPT. Yeah. So now I opened a door for all of you. And yeah, the truth is that there is a lot of very good information, and if for example one of my students, they well, my students were working with the TOEFL preparation, and there was a question that they didn't understand why it was incorrect. So they asked me like, teacher, I was like, no, you search. And they went and asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gave them an answer. And then my student said an easier answer. And I was like, hey, that sounds cute. And then ChatGPT paraphrased and gave the same explanation, but with simpler words. And my student was like, now I get it. And it was very nice to see how she was able to access this information, because my purpose is to help them be able to access the information. And I don't want them to need me, because I want them to be self-directed learners. So they are going to be able to look for information, to find the information, to evaluate the resources. Okay, here we have some questions, and it says, do you consider this is the best way to teach technical English? Actually, yes. The thing is that technical English, it tends to be more grammar translation. And as far as I remember, technical English used to be a list of words that people had to memorize, and they had to translate things. And when you talk to people, you ask like, when you ask the question, students will be like, I understand, but I cannot answer, because they didn't have the vocabulary to speak or to communicate. And unfortunately, just knowing the language, uh, it doesn't give you the jobs, it doesn't give you the opportunities, because there are so many software engineers that could be getting like $5,000 a month, but they cannot communicate in the language. They understand it, they read it, they work with computers, but if they cannot communicate, they cannot talk to their bosses in different parts of the world. So communication is key. In order to get a better position, a better salary, or better opportunities. And actually, for technical English, there is something that is called ESP, English for Specific Purposes, that it has the same it has like the same vision, like it is content but in a communicative way. ChatGPT is very helpful. However, the teacher should be also responsible in using it and assure that the information provided by the tools are correct. Yes, yes. And actually, that's the reason we still have jobs, because we are the ones curating the content, and also because of the social emotional intelligence. Like, if it were just content and vocabulary and exercises, students could do it by themselves online. Like, students, like, that's what I told my TOEFL preparation students, like, you don't need me, everything is there. We even found a website that can evaluate your speaking, and it gives you the pronunciation, your level. Like, there are so many resources out there. Students don't need us, but we are the ones motivating them, we are the ones giving them the resources, we are the ones. So pay also close attention to that part when you're teaching, because that's what makes the difference between the machines and the teachers and the humans. It is very useful and funny. Students will enjoy it and learn something new. Yes. Is there any difference between CLIL and content-based instruction? I will say that they are very they will be very similar, and but content-based instruction, it works more with the content. But when you're working with CLIL, it also talks about the language and how the structures are being used, and how the um like it has this language focus that the content-based instruction generally doesn't have. Content-based is just using learning the content, but it generally doesn't have the language focus part. It says the artificial intelligence came to make our life easier than ever. Yes, use it responsibly. Thank you, Vincao. And let me see, do I have other questions here? Okay, here we have another question. How do you encourage communication in the target language in basic levels using this methodology? You teach your students the structures that they are going to be using. For example, today I was with a preschool class, and they were talking about shapes and colors. And they were able to share about the shapes and colors and their favorite shapes and their favorite colors. So you need to prepare you need to prepare the students in the language that they are going to use. So you give them the vocabulary, you give them the structures, and then with those words, with those structures, they are going to be able to communicate. At a basic level, yes, but communication is communication. So later they are going to be able to improve, and they are going to start like adding conjunctions and tenses and everything. But you should be expecting communication in the basic levels too. It is not just the teacher speaking. Let's see if we have another question. We don't have more questions.
Annabelle, I
And
have one from the audience. Well, actually, you answered two of the questions that I had already written here.
okay.
One is still missing, and it is the name of the technique that you use, that you explained in the beginning, like rotating so that everybody gets to speak. Do you have the name of that? Because somebody was asking for it.
Walking gallery.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, walking
So,
gallery.
thank you.
So now we are going to work in breakout rooms. And the question is, how can you integrate CLIL in your classes? How do you see this content in your lessons?
All right. So thank you so much, Annabelle. I will create the rooms here.